Today we're going to start the discussion of installing the overhead cams in a Kawasaki KZ650. You see in front of you here the cams are laid out the way they will be installed in the bike. That is, the front of the bike is to the right, the rear of the bike would be to the left. So this is the exhaust cam. I can tell that because of the machining that was done for the drive gear for the tachometer, which is on the exhaust side of the engine. The notch, you can see this notch right here, on both cams always goes to the right. So this literally is the way the cam would sit in the bike, like this. The journal bearing caps, you can see a line here, 2, 4, 6, and 8. You will note that these are in fact numbered. See if we can get a good shot of that. That's number 1, and then number 2, etc. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that is important because these journal bearing caps are machined as a set with the cams. So they are not designed nor intended to be interchanged. Consequently, when you put the cams in the bike, you want to make sure you get the number 1 in the number 1 spot and the head number 2 in the 2 spot, etc. So we're back at the bike here, and I wanted to show you the numbering in the top of the cylinder head that corresponds to the journal caps that I talked about a few minutes ago. And you can see here, this one, number 1 cylinder, intake side, and you see the number 5, I think, right here, stamped into the head, and number 6. And over here, you should be able to see number 1 and number 2. And each of the journals, all the way across, has a corresponding number associated with it. Here's a shot of how these things come together, and that being the number on the journal cap and the number in the cylinder head where my finger is. So number 5 lines up number 5, number 6 lines up with number 6, number 7 would be the next one on this intake side, and then number 8, as well as here on the intake, or rather, I'm sorry, the exhaust side, you'd have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then again we'd be back to number 5, 6, 7, and 8. So again, the thing to keep in mind is you have to keep your bearing journal caps in order because they were machined as a set and they're manufactured close tolerances. Now I'm sure there's people out there that have mixed them up over the years without any ill effect. Perfectly comfortable with that's probably happened, but it's not the recommended practice. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install the exhaust side cam in the head. And if you take note, I've got the journals, not the cam lobes. The cam lobes are right here, here, and there's 2 on the other side, not the cam lobes. The journals that on the cam that will rest down into the matching journal surface in the head. And you can see I've got those 4 journals in the head liberally lubricated with a similar lube, as well as the matching journal on the cam. So they're all cleaned up. Again, cleanliness is next to godliness in something like this, folks. So you want to make sure everything is spotless. So I cleaned it, recleaned it, and cleaned it again. Then I lubricated it all up. You'll also notice I have the arrow with the T pointing forward, because eventually I'll have, when I drop it in, I want to align that with the cam surface or the head surface right here. So it's not terribly complicated. You got to get it kind of up through like that. I'm going to grab it with my fingers in the middle and drop it into place. Like that. So that cam now is positioned relatively speaking. want to adjust the chain. So at this point, since I have the cam chain looped around the front sprocket, I can dispense with the wire holding the chain on and get that out of the way. Because the chain now is not going anywhere, it's captured. Again, this is the tachometer drive gear. I've got the T arrow aligned with the front of the cylinder head. The rear or intake side cam then obviously will fit in here like this. So now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the intake or rear cam. The T arrow faces to the rear. You want to make sure the notch in the end of the cam faces to the right. We're going to fit this through like this. Drop the cam into the journal, like that. Fit the cam like that. And there we go. Now you'll notice the rear on the intake cam is pointing straight back, which is supposed to be. The front, I'm off a bit, so I'm going to have to fix that. There. Rear arrow with a T mark, front arrow with a T mark. You might have to fiddle around a little bit, take your time and be patient. And when you're done, you should have tension relatively tight on the outsides and a little bit of a dip in the middle. The journals now are seated here, here, there, and there, correspondingly in the rear. So the cam now, or cams, are in relative position for to complete the timing of the engine. So this next step is going to help us determine whether we've got the relative cam chain to cam timing correct. In other words, we have the chain positioned correctly versus the cams. And it's pretty straightforward and easy to do. Remember the arrows, the front and the rear. This is the exhaust cam. You have an arrow with a T and an arrow with a T. You can't see the T because it's just below the edge of the block here, but rest assured it's there. And those are supposed to be pointing to the block, as you can see here, in both cases, which they do. So what we want to do now is count the number of links between arrows. And what we're looking for is the number of 36. So we'll start here on the exhaust side, and we're going to take the first pin right here the pointer is pointing to, which is aligned with the arrow, not the T but the arrow itself, and count backwards to the corresponding arrow on the intake cam. And we should have 36. And we're going to start here with 0, not 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. That's the number we were looking for, starting with 0, ending with 36. So this pin at the arrow here with the T is always the 0 mark. This should be 36. That means we have the right amount of links in between so that I know at this point that the cam chain is positioned correctly in relationship to the cams. It's that simple.